Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Boiler Track Show, a show by Boiler upload to the Rivals Network. And today we have an all-time Boilermaker joining us, Mr. Mark Herrmann. Mark, how are you?
Doing great, Deb. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on. Like we were talking about before we hopped on here. It's been a crazy week for Purdue football. I guess right off the top, what were your initial reactions to the Ryan Walters hiring by Mike Bobinski?
Well, I guess my initial reaction was, okay, who is this individual?
Yeah.
And I knew he was on the list, but I wasn't
Mm,
sure where he stood in the pecking order. But you know, once you started digesting his resume and just seeing some of the things, and then being at the press conference yesterday, very impressive young man. Whenever you can get an elite coach on one side of the ball, just like 6 years ago with Jeff Brom on offense, now you have Ryan Walters on defense. So if you can grab a talent like that, then I think that's a huge win. So I think he's a rising star in the profession. I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he's charismatic. I think the players will play for him and want to play for him. And I just think the sky's the limit. And I'm extremely happy that Ryan's on board.
I've talked to a lot of the guys, a lot of the recruits that have been able to talk to him, and they're all ecstatic. I mean, you walk into the room the first time meeting your new team, and you give the star running back who, I mean, broke onto the scene. You give him a scholarship right off the bat. That's the first thing you do as head coach. That's how you win over a room, and I think that just kind of speaks to the type of leader of young men that he is. And I think all the things that his former players, excuse me, were saying and his former coaching staff, and I mean, there's not a whole lot not to love about this guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's just you just get that sense of confidence. He knows what he can do and he knows his abilities. And let's face it, he's been coaching for 12 years, got
Mm-hmm.
started at age 24. So he's been thrown in this environment and now he keeps pushing himself and now is asked to be the head coach. And he's, as he said, it's a dream come true. Uh, to get this at such a young age, at 36, it just speaks volumes of the type of guy he is, the type of character, and the ability to lead. And let's face it, that is so important to get 18 to 22-year-olds to play at their utmost potential. And certainly in the next week or two, putting together that staff that's going to help him and give him the experience maybe that he lacks in some of the areas. And of course, getting an offensive coordinator, I think, is critical. And we all know that we're used to throwing the football and being successful in a wide open offense. And so I think that'll be the next thing that Boilermaker fans are looking to, as to who the offensive staff and the rest of the defensive staff will be.
As a member of the Cradle quarterbacks, you could throw the pigskin back in your day. Is it odd to see a defensive minded coach at the helm at Purdue?
Well, yeah, I mean, my first answer would be yes, because it's been such an important part of the
Mm,
Purdue football fabric, to be able to throw the ball. We've had a pretty good run of quarterbacks, so that's what folks are used to seeing. But it's not to say that a defensive coach cannot come in here and do a great job. Two of the greatest coaches in the history of football, Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, both had defensive backgrounds, but found a way to be very successful offensively. And let's face it, you've got to play great defense to get where you want to be. And if you
mm,
can't do that, then we're just going to be an offense that puts points on the board. And so the fact that he can put a defensive strategy together and be able to stop people, maybe when the offense is sputtering a little bit. That gives me great confidence, and I think it should give our fans great confidence that maybe we can hold people to 17, 20 points a game and still have a chance to put up big numbers offensively.
yeah, and if he brings in a guy offensive coordinator that plays sort of an air raid, spread it out style. I don't think you have to hold teams to 12 points a game like you did last year at Illinois. That's
Right.
just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously we all know that's not really sustainable for 20 years if he was the coach for that long. But improving that side of the ball is always something coaches look to do and programs look to do. So um, I think Purdue got the right guy for it, and I will be excited to see who he hires as an offensive coordinator. I know there's uh, not a whole bunch of names to go off of right now. I think it'll be somebody outside the box that fans or media aren't really expecting, but with him and all the coaches that he's coached with and under. I know he coached with Josh Heupel, the head coach down at Tennessee. So he's got some connections, and I'm sure some of the alumni will help out with that as well. Did Were you getting anxious waiting to see who the new coach would be? Because I know they moved fairly fast, but I think a lot of people expected them to have a new coach within 2-3 days.
Yeah, I trusted Mike Babinski. I knew that he would attack this process in a proper fashion and take his time evaluating each candidate. And I know there were a lot of folks that reached out and a lot of people that they had to vet through the process. So I wasn't concerned. I knew Mike has been down this road before, and he was going to kind of weigh each candidate and see if anybody jumped off the page. And I think certainly Ryan Walters made that early, very good impression. And I talked to Mike a little bit last night, and he just said he was wowed by him early on in the interview process. So, those you can't just rush. This is a key hire for
Mm-hmm.
Purdue football. So I really think that he felt like he took his time and really got the best candidate on board. So I appreciate his professionalism through this whole thing. And I know Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mike Berghoff, was very involved as well. So I think Ryan is super excited to be at Purdue. You know, Jeff Brom was excited, but I think in the back of his mind, he was still thinking, well, someday I'm going to end up at Louisville. And but I think Ryan is legitimately excited to be Purdue University's head football coach, and I think he knows he's going to get the resources and support from the athletic department as well as the entire university and Purdue fan base. So I think he is just thrilled beyond peace, thrilled to death, and totally looking forward to the opportunity ahead.
Yeah, and obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the reason that Purdue has a new coach. Obviously, is because Jeff Brom headed back home. I don't think you would be surprised at him jumping that opportunity. But did you have any issues? I know there's been a lot of players that have kind of I don't want to say been outspoken about it, but the way he handled it and just him up and leaving and going on recruiting visits the day before. Did you have any issues with the manner in which Jeff Brom left?
Well, I don't know if there'll ever be a great way to exit your current
Mhm.
position. I think he was recruiting till the very end, and you kind of give him credit for that to be in front of some of the recruits and the athletes that were signed on to come to Purdue, and it got awkward certainly, and I wish it could have been in a little better circumstance, but hey, we all knew that this was the ultimate job for him, and there was not going to be a great way to say goodbye. So I think he's trying to help the situation by having Brian Brom and Mark Hagan kind of leading the team right now to ease that transition a little bit, and certainly having Drew Brees come on board is outstanding and just super. So yeah, we'll we wish Jeff the best, but hey, we're excited about our new coach and what's ahead of our program.
Yeah, and I mean, you can say what you want about the way he left, but the impact that Jeff Brom left at Purdue was phenomenal. I mean, took the program to new heights. Been to the first Big Ten championship game in program history, albeit it started 10 years ago. So it's not like it's been a 100-year thing. But I think Purdue fans and the media and former players of his, I think they all respect him and are appreciative of him. But like you mentioned, Ryan Walters is just a new guy, and we'll see where he takes this thing. Um, I know you mentioned Drew Brees. Obviously, that news broke just a little bit before we hopped on here. I mean, what's that like for you to be now a fan of Purdue, former quarterback, obviously. What's that like for you to see someone of his caliber want to come back and help Purdue out?
Well, I mean, it's absolutely tremendous. He's one of the great leaders of all time, one of the great performers to ever put on a Boilermaker uniform. Had an amazing NFL career. He just surpassed any expectation, and that's just kind of the way Drew has lived his life. He's always exceeded what everybody's expected of him, and so this doesn't surprise me in the least. He cares deeply about the Purdue football program and Purdue University, and this is his way of offering a little help and be able to coach these guys, mentor these guys, and hopefully inspire them to really enjoy these next couple of weeks and go down to Orlando and really compete hard and try to win that football game. And the fact that he has taken time out of his life away from his kids and family and wife and Brittany, and to be able to dedicate his time and hopefully help in recruiting new student athletes. It just speaks volumes of his character and just what Purdue means to him. And I think it's going to show the entire country, a different side of what Purdue's all about and the loyalty that we have. And if a guy like Drew Brees is going to come back to help out, I think that's just a great thing about what's happening with our school.
Yeah, and if you know anything about Drew Brees, you know he's going to be all in with those kids, and I can't imagine what it's like for them, especially some of the younger guys that maybe haven't talked to him or been around him or met him. That's got to be super special to see not only one of the best quarterbacks in Purdue history, but a top 5 to 10 quarterback in NFL history. You can make the argument he's better than that. How special do you think it is for those players?
Oh my God, what a wonderful opportunity! Yeah, these young guys will hear it from one of the best, and just his work ethic, how he goes about his business, just the mindset. It's so important mentally to be in the right frame of mind and be able to attack your daily duties and get the most out of each player. And he'll push them physically, but more important from a confidence standpoint, mentally, how he prepared himself for every game and what things he did to be able to have a great career in college football and in the NFL. I mean, those are just such valuable tidbits that he can share, and these guys can really put to work. So just to be around him, I may have to jump over there practice too and hang out a little bit just to see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be more than welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, the mental part, I think that's obviously is probably going to be the biggest thing that he brings to the team, especially in these 2 weeks till the bowl game. There's not a whole lot he can do with an X's and O's standpoint, I guess. Not knowing the offense fully and things like that. But I mean, you saw that speech he gave a few years ago when he was back. He's another leader of young men. He's a leader of men as well, obviously in the NFL. I I, I don't know. I don't know how special that is for the program. It blows me away that he would even come back and do it.
Yeah, with all what's going on around the program, with just losing your coach and hiring a new coach, and just this transition and getting ready for a bowl game and coming off a championship game, there's just a lot of things going through these guys' head, and he'll try to get them focused on what their task is and what their goal is and all that, and just how he goes about his business and what it takes to be successful in the game of football, and to pick his brain and to be able to get any information they can from him, and just to share the stories and share anecdotes of what his career has meant. I just think he's just going to be an amazing resource for these guys, and they will never forget this opportunity that they've had for the next 10 days or so, or 2 weeks, to just to share in his knowledge and to be able to just tap into all the things he's been through.
Yeah, most definitely. Now the question is, I know a lot of fans were calling for it when the job opened up. Drew Brees coming back to be the head coach. I know it's like kind of half kidding, but do you think Drew might be setting something up to join Purdue full time somewhere down the line?
Well, nothing would shock me with Drew. This guy has done amazing things, like we said, and it's a big commitment, certainly,
Yeah.
to be a head coach, football wise. And I know he's so ingrained in his kids' lives, and just coaching them and sharing experiences with them. So, I wouldn't totally rule it out, but you never know. But if he would, he'd be tremendous at it, and be just an amazing coach. But if he decided, well, maybe after this couple weeks, I'm going to go back to being a dad, that would be okay too.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking about this earlier with somebody, and I think that he would make it for a great athletic director at some point in time in the future, or at least lead the football program. Now that'd probably be after his kids are off to college and grown up. But I mean, you think of Purdue football, obviously names like yourself, Joe Tiller, Rod Woodson. You got to throw Drew Brees in there. I mean, he's synonymous with the program, and I think he'd be I think he would do a phenomenal job leading the program if it was a head coach or athletic director or being in the higher ups within the program.
Yeah, I mean, anything involving leadership ability, he's going to succeed exceedingly well, and he'll put every inch of his fiber into that position. So, whatever he chooses to do, he has a lot of business interest and a lot of things going on with his life. But if he decides to someday, let's really concentrate on one thing, and if it's going to be a head coach or AD or whatever it may be, he'll be a huge success, and he'll impact a lot of lives, and he will do great things for whatever organization. We hope it'd be Purdue at some
Mm-hmm.
point, but whatever he decides to tackle, he'll be tremendous.
Now, I wanted to ask you about the Cradle quarterbacks. I had your good friend Jim Everett on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the relationships that he's built, obviously with you and some of the other guys. What's your relationship, and how much do you talk to some of the other guys that are in that Cradle quarterbacks group, or just former teammates in general?
Yeah, I talked to a fair amount, especially in my position with the John Purdue Club.
Mhm.
We meet at events or talk or text or meet. A great group. Not only are they wonderful athletes and ambassadors for the university, but just really good people. So yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to pick up the phone or text or whatever, any of them, because you share that common bond. You played the position. You love Purdue University. You love what the program has done for us, and so there's a debt of gratitude that you have, and there's a source of pride that we all succeeded at that position and we're able to make a difference. And yeah, you can't imagine a tighter bond than that. And in football, you're so reliant on one another, and being, in that ultra competitive environment. And so we all have stories to share, and things that we all played on that same field, and that's pretty cool.
Do you guys ever give each other some flack? You obviously being the first ever quarterback in NCAA history to throw for 9,000 yards. Do you guys ever play with each other and be like, "Well, I set this record, and he set this record. I broke your record."
Well, occasionally there'd be a little jabs, but different eras. There were different offenses,
Mm.
and Mike Phipps and Bob Greasy, they didn't throw the ball as much as we did, and they weren't eligible until they were sophomores to play. And so there's different details within each era. And if I would have played in Joe Tiller's offense, I think I could have thrown for 13,000 yards or whatever. So those little things are going around, but I think we're all appreciative of each other's abilities and what they brought to the table. And As long as I still hold that interception record. That's the one thing that I'm upset about. I wish somebody come along and snatch that away from me.
Well, not to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't know if that's coming with how college football is these days. They're getting
Yeah.
yanked or transferring or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. That's right.
um, you mentioned a little bit earlier, you're the director of leadership and alumni engagement for the John Purdue Club. Talk a little bit about how you came into that position back in 2020, I believe.
Yeah, I'd been working over at Cradle at the School of
Mhm.
Management, fundraising and outreach, and it just there was some opportunities to come over to John Purdue Club and Purdue athletic program, and I thought this is the time, and this would be a great move for me, and it's exceeded my expectation. It's been wonderful, not only with our staff, with Tim House and the rest of our gang, but just working with our athletics alums, just our fan base. It's part fundraising, part alumni engagement, just trying to get our athletes in Varsity P, which is kind of our alumni group, and getting them back on campus and just being able to talk to one another and sharing stories. So we've just had a great year and working with our honorary captains each week during the season for our home games. So it's just been a joy for me, and anything that I can do to pay it forward and give back to Purdue, I'm all about. So we've just got a wonderful group of student athletes that you love to support and provide any resource that we can to help them succeed. So if I can do that, or if I can be a part of that, then that's all the better. So it's been a labor of love for me, and and hope to keep going and keep making impacts with our fans and our players.
Now, how important is it for you to, like you mentioned, the honorary captains, to have them back and to see the reception that they get? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think it gives our players kind of a glimpse into the past and some of the great stars that have worn the same uniform, and hopefully inspire them to better things. And then to give our fans a thrill because they're watching these guys come on the field and they think back to 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when they watched them playing and on Ross-Ade Field and Rorman Field. So it's been fun for me because I've been able to work very closely and work on the arrangements and getting them all taken care of. And so I get to spend, 24 hours of quality time with these guys, and it's really been very enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see how much it means to them because you look back at like the Rose Bowl reunion, or things like that. I mean, all those guys, right when they see each other, it's just like they're back in 2000 again. It's something really special, and
Yeah.
it's something that I think not only Purdue but just sports in general brings people closer together. If you're teammates, if you went through hell and back with somebody, you're gonna love them for the rest of your life, and I think the guys that come back, I mean, they show that.
Oh yeah, no question. It's fun to see guys reunite, and you're right. The stories come out, and just the what you all went through, and you spend so much time together between meetings and traveling and practice and all those things that you really become close, and you really depend on one another, and you don't want to let your teammate down or the guy that's lined up next to you. So it becomes a very empowering thing to play the sport of football because it's such a ultimate team sport that 11 guys have got to click on every play for you to be successful, and therefore a lot of guys become very close with one another, and it's also fun to give jabs when you see guys and to really talk some trash and that kind of thing. So that's all good fun, and you're all just college kids. You're trying to get
Mhm.
by. There's not a number one draft pick. There's not this or that. You're all in the same boat, and you're all just trying to, have some fun out there, win some games for your university, get a great degree, and go on to have a wonderful career. And it's fun to hear what guys are doing post career and all the good things that are happening with a lot of guys. So that's really been a fun part of it.
Now, who's the biggest trash talker when you guys all get together?
Well, we had a running back named Ben McCall, and he's pretty good at it. And he was from Chicago, and so we always get into it with him. And so it's and then everybody chimes in. The offensive linemen have their little thing, and then the DBs and the receivers, running backs. So. But Ben can hold his own pretty well, so he gets back to campus every once in a while. So it's always fun to gear that up again and hear what everybody has to say.
That's awesome to hear. Last thing I want to touch on before I let you go here. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell, Payne Durham, Corey Trice, and Charlie Jones have all opted out of the bowl game. I just wanted to get your opinion on kind of where bowl games have been headed and whether or not they've kind of lost their luster forever, it seems.
Yeah, it makes me sad because some of my greatest memories were bowl games. We went to three of them. We won all three, and we just had the best time. And I think it's such a great experience for the team. It's great for the young guys to get the extra practice. It's great to, represent your conference against other conferences. And I I hate to see where things are going. I get it to a certain degree, but everything is now geared towards, okay, can I play at the next level? I don't want to get hurt. And does this game mean that much to us? If you're outside the CFP, do these games really mean that much? Well, I think they do. And we always prepared to win. We went down there to have fun and really enjoy ourselves and make it a special trip for our fans. But somehow the bowls have diminished a little bit, and people are worried about injury and worried about affecting their next level in their career. So, if you're banged up a little bit, I can certainly see that. If you're worried about extending injuries and maybe there's some emotional things going on, we certainly Aiden had a lot happening in his life, and he's played for 6 years, and you kind of understand those things, but. For college football in general, I just hate to see that this would be the prevailing thing, that you give up on bowl games, because they're just great fun, and you're just going out there and competing like crazy, and you hope you win the game. So I don't know where this is going to head, but I'm sad because there's a great history in bowl games, and so we'll see. But I regret it, and I think this team will have a great fun down in Orlando, and they'll compete like crazy. And the guys that decide to play in the game, so let's applaud those guys for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, I don't. I think guys can make their own decisions and do what they think's best for them. I look at someone like Aiden O'Connell, who's given his heart and soul to the program, and it's hard to be like, oh, well, you quit on your team because you're not going to the bowl game. That being said, it is disappointing that people aren't going to get to see Aiden O'Connell and Payne Durham and guys like that suit up for Purdue one last time. And I think the overall message in college football of bowl games don't matter, that only applies to the 1%, in my opinion. Because I mean, try telling someone like Brock Thompson that bowl games don't matter.
Yeah.
Went out and had 200 some receiving yards on two broken legs, had to have double knee surgery, and he said he did that for his teammates because he loves his teammates like Jackson Anthrop and so many others. I mean, it bowl games mean a lot to people, and I think the national media kind of casts a shadow over it where bowl games are useless, but I still think that 99% of the roster is going to have a phenomenal time down there, and they're all super pumped. So
Yeah, I mean, Brock Thompson's going to remember that game the rest of his life. I mean, that will be the memory number one. And if he does come back, I hope he has 10 memories better than that one. But we all were blessed to watch him play, and it's guys like that are going to step up, and the next guy up, and we thank Payne and Corey and Aiden and Charlie for their commitment to Purdue and what they've done over the years. But this is their decision, and you got to respect that, and let's see who's next on the list. And somebody's going to come up and have a great performance, and these guys are going to enjoy just what the opportunity for the bowl presents, and they're going to be treated royally down there, and it's going to be a great experience. So I'm anxious to see these guys perform, and we're going to go out there and just play our tails off and see what happens.
Yes, sir. We're all looking forward to watching it. Like I said, I'm gonna let you go here, but thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on and talk some Purdue football with us.
Well, enjoyed it, Doug. Glad I was able to talk to you, and a lot of fun memories and things. So, yeah, let's go Boilers, boiler up.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.